What up, my freaks? Ruinous Insight here with part 7 of my Total Warhammer II modded Throgg campaign. He cannot possibly fit in that tiny ship. So as we saw last time, the High Elves dared intrude upon Throgg's territory, and the first army belonging to Kothik was destroyed in and around the Isle of Wights. Plural, with Throgg defeating them pretty handily despite them having a fairly nice stack for an early game army. Of course, they were in March stance, and it seems that Leoncoeur has done the exact same thing once again in March stance near to Throgg, and Throgg has full movement speed, so he's not getting away, and I don't think we're going to get a better opportunity. Now, this could be a very, very dangerous fight. Lewin himself is quite powerful. Since the AI cheats, he has both of his quest items. The AI, of course, acquires these at the exact level that the quests come up, since the AI doesn't do quests, but that's, I mean, I would miss doing the quests anyway, so it's just unfortunate that the AI gets him so early. But anyway, he's going to be a toughie. We don't know what the rest of his army is like, but as I recall, Lewin starts with Pegasus Knights and I think something else? Or wait, or is it Grail Guardians and Pegasus Knights? No, wait, it's Grail Knights and Pegasus Knights, maybe? Something like that. I think the Fey Enchantress starts with Grail Guardians, but I could be mistaken. Regardless, there's got to be something nasty in this army, so that will be a little bit of a concern. Now, between the episodes, I do want to note that there was a small patch with regards to SFO, and it appears to have buffed the this particular campaign a little bit. The construction cost for all buildings, I don't believe that was... Oh yeah, the construction cost for all buildings thing. I believe that was a buff that wasn't present before, because I checked how much the costs of the buildings were, and they're a little bit less. They're not a crazy amount less. A lot of the stuff loses like 100 gold off of it, but that's still pretty nice. Now, the patch notes actually said that it removes upkeep for trolls. That is clearly not the case, because the army upkeep we have hasn't changed. I think that maybe Venris meant to say that the upkeep for trolls was reduced, not removed, because why would Throgg have King of Trolls, Lord's Army upkeep reduction for Norscan Trolls, and Norscan Ice Trolls if the upkeep was removed? I don't think that's the case. Probably an error, but that's okay. At least we got something out of it in regards to the very, very slight reduction in building costs. Anyway, that's enough for me. Let's see. Okay, yeah, we are low on funds, and I think we're gonna have to raid Bretonnia, and we might actually have to delete some of Wulfric's army. At least some of these units. They're not very expensive. I might even just delete the Marauder Berserkers temporarily, just because they're almost twice as expensive as the rest of the regular Marauders. We're probably better off getting 1.5 units of Marauder Hunters with Javelins than we are with Marauder Berserkers. So I'll do that, but let's leave him here for at least a turn until we fix this thing. And I think we can do that by moving Throgg to Bretonnia. So let's start with that. Let's attack. Unfortunately, we still have bloody armor. I did say I wanted to compensate that by going into Rampage stance, which gives us a little bit more attack at the cost of defense. Since we have this, but we're in the sea, we can't compensate with the stance, and our army is quite hurt, so this is going to be a tough fight, most likely. Declare war. Oh, right, we have not declared war yet. Alright, let's, as I said in the last episode, let's talk to Mousillon. I don't think there's ever desperation in Throgg's eyes. Let's see, we will join war against Kurun, and we will ask for, let's say, demand payment. I don't know, 600, will you do it? High, still good. 1200, moderate. 1800, low. Wait, so 1200 was moderate, 1800 was low. That means 1500 is probably upper end, and then 900 is lower end, so he should do 900. Good. He did 900. Maybe I should have done 1200. Whatever, it doesn't matter. The 300 gold doesn't matter, although maybe right now it does. Well, it's too late anyway. Now that we're at war with these guys, we are going to attack Lewin, of course, and let's see what he's packing. What? Oh, this is not his original stack. His special units are gone. I don't think he starts with a Knights Errant unit. I'm pretty sure he gets something elite, like I said, like Pegasus Knights or Grail Guardians at the start. I think his starting stack got destroyed by something. So this is just a peasant mob, basically. Just a bunch of trash peasants and one unit of knights. Okay, well, that's ridiculous. We're going to make this a cinematic battle, even though this is going to be absolute destruction. Mostly because I want to see Lewin fight Throgg. Poor Lewin. I kind of feel bad for the AI once again. And in March stance on top of being a peasant mob. That's actually pretty good considering the fact that how our army is pretty damn hurt. So this definitely works out for us. Let's get to it. Alrighty, here we go, Lewin. Poor Lewin. Poor Lewin. He's flying around up here, and he's real happy about his quest items, all the good stuff he has, but he was led astray by the Dark Gods and has marched stance his way into Throgg's army. Throgg and his brother coming up here, and they are ready to smack old Lewin around. So let's speed this up. We're gonna do a pretty damn simple setup. I've actually decided to more or less blob up our units here, just because we actually want the enemy to sort of blob up themselves. They have a lot of units themselves, and oh, they're charging with their yeomen, and this is a terrible, terrible idea, because of course Throgg and his brother take the brunt of the charge, and then we immediately pop our Tormentor's Sword on top of these yeomen, so they can't move, they're getting smacked around by trolls, and they are getting shot up by the javelin throwers, so they're all going to be dead momentarily. Like, this unit dropped from full HP to half HP in the single charge, and every volley takes at least 25% of their HP. And I'm pretty sure that one just died to friendly fire as well. Oh, man. Poor human. I believe they're shattered to that. Yeah, 11 left, shattered. They're not coming back. And these guys are just fine. Any tiny little amounts of HP damage are going to get healed by the time the battle lines collide. Now, as I was trying to say before those fools charged into their doom, we actually want the enemy to blob up. They have a lot more melee infantry than we do, so we can capitalize on that by forcing them to fight in close quarters and then just blobbing up in such a way that they can't really support each other. And then, of course, using our dragon to breathe and using our more mobile units to charge. They did also have their own mobile units, but if they're going to keep playing them like these guys, they're not going to have them for long. They're certainly not going to get too great a use out of them. Now we are just moving up. We do have to unfortunately keep 3 of our units in basically one blob because these 3 sets of marauders are very badly hurt. But other than that, we're okay. Oh, Throgg gets actually a nice vomit spray in against these human archers. About 25% damage on that one unit. Pretty damn good. It's a lot better on blobbed up infantry, it seems. And now Lewin charging in psychotically once again, thinking he can annihilate these Norscan ice trolls. He certainly did some damage on his charge, but he hasn't killed a model, and they're just going to start smacking him around while the Marauder Spearmen move to support with their anti-large and start poking him in the back, and then Throgg and his brother come in to smash him. That single hit from Throgg there, and then another hit from his brother, it seems, taking Lewin down very, very quickly. Now, let's take a look at the actual battlefield. The Knights Errant, the only decent unit in this particular army, charging into the Marauder Spearmen, the anti-large units. Of course, we're going to start taking a little bit of friendly fire damage to our own Marauder Hunters, but it's really worth it because we don't really care what happens to the Marauder Spearmen. I've said that before, and I'd rather get rid of this elite unit. It's really funny how they don't have enough mass to charge through this, though. I feel like this many, like, they really should have been able to go through this. I don't know if their mass has been reduced or if Marauder mass has been increased, or is it because these guys are spears and they had guarded? I don't know. but it certainly worked out well for us. So these guys are going to have a pretty bad time sitting there. In the meantime, we also have another set of mounted human, which were caught by both our Frostworm and by our Skinwolves, and were mostly ripped apart by the Skinwolves and slowed down so they couldn't get away by the Frostworm, as well as some decent hits there. Now we are sending our Hounds to kill their single unit Peasant Bows with Pox arrows, applying poison to some of our units, which is a little bit annoying, but a single unit really isn't that much of a threat. I do like how they have access to poison arrows fairly on the Bretonians. It's fairly useful, but obviously these peasants aren't going to stick around for very long once charged by the wolves. This unit of Norsca Ice Trolls being the only ones anchoring this portion of the line, and finally our Frostworm is going to get his first breath, and there are 3 full stacks here being distracted by this one unit of Marauders. Let's see how they fare after this breath. Look at that destruction. So 2 units basically obliterated. Oh, and the enemy lord already wounded. It looks like Mr. Lewin did not last very long at all. I actually wish I had watched a little bit more of that. I didn't expect him to die so fast, but that's okay. I mean, he did charge into 3 freaking troll units. What was he expecting? And now I believe the rest of their units are basically dead. The Knights Errant actually moved out of here after they realized they couldn't move through the Marauder Spearmen, and then charged back in to try to go after, I guess, these Marauder Spearmen. These hurt units are probably the most under threat. The unfortunate thing for these guys here is that they are now perpendicular to our Marauder Hunters with Javelins, who can just throw javelins at them to their heart's content into their sides. Plus, Throgg and his brother are now charging at them, so yeah, good luck with that. Of course, this part of the battlefield is a major victory for us. After that breath, all 3 of these units immediately rout. 1 unit remaining here, but another unit routing here as well, while the Norscan Ice Trolls doing pretty damn good. They've taken a very, very slight amount of damage, but with very minor support, or non-existent support, as these range units are actually firing on these guys, they managed to obliterate this 1 men-at-arms unit, and this one is also about to rout. In fact, now that Lewin is dead, all of the peasants are very, very shaken. They see Lewin go down. I would expect the entire army to rout, to be perfectly honest. Just from a lore perspective, I really wouldn't expect all these peasants to try to stick in the fight after Lewin had gone down. And Throgg's basically running around smashing people. Damn! That single hammer swing, it's almost as many models knocked around as a Shaggoth. Pretty damn good. Probably a regular Shaggoth, though. Probably not Kolek himself. Even that's a little bit harder to match, but still. Oh, and it looks like the enemy knights are charging back in. Throgg is going to get another vomit spray in right here, and this is probably the best use of it. The enemies are lined up in a perpendicular fashion. You guys wanted a nice shot of that, I'm sure. And there we go. This can actually impact across the line like this, and since this is a fairly weak peasant unit, look how many of them get exploded by this. I definitely got to try to make better use of this particular ability. That seems like a ton of damage, almost as good as the this breath from the dragon. So it's definitely a matter of positioning for Throgg, and we have to make sure to try to do that. But other than that, with the Knights of Errant trying to charge and then smashing into even more javelins and thrown axes, they are routing once again, and I believe the entire army is actually dead. So honestly, not much of a cinematic battle, but I guess we could have expected this. I feel like if we run into more battles that are this level of easy, I'm just going to either auto-resolve it or not make it into a cinematic one, because this was, I mean, they got so wrecked that there was really nothing to see. Anyway. Oh, what an absolute slaughter. That, once again, I feel so bad for Lewin. That was a major screw-up because that's another one of his stacks destroyed. I assume that he did the exact same thing in losing his first stack, or maybe he died attacking the Skull Smashes or something like that. Not going so well, buddy. Not going so well. Now, in terms of the MVP, the Froststorm did pretty good, but a lot of that was the breath. I think I got to give this one to Throgg himself. He beat Lewin pretty handily. I mean, he did have the help of his brother as well as one of the units of ice trolls, but they did incomparable amounts of damage to him, who was at 22k. I think only the Frostworm would have done more than that. Yeah, Throgg was second after the Frostworm, and most of this damage comes from that one breath that was into like 3 units that obliterated them, which is, you know, second MVP, obviously. But, yeah, everybody did well. Once again, the, actually, this time, the axe throwers did quite well. Usually I feel like the javelin throwers just outright beat the axes, but I suppose that the axes are better against armored infantry like the depth guard that we were facing earlier. Whereas the javelins are decent against pretty much everything. Alright, so we got Horse Feast, the anti-Bretonian vile knowledge thing, wherein we gotta win 12 or 10 battles rather. Ooh, we unlocked the Icehorn Marauders. Speaking of Ice Marauders, I believe somebody suggested a name for the Marauders as Marauder Trollkin or Trollkin Marauders or something like that, or just straight up Trollkin. Ooh, Mammoth Tamer, that'll help Wulfric. And a Sword of Battle, that'll help somebody, and a Kingslayer. Oh, plus 10 charge, minus 25 cost for cav units. Not gonna have many of those in Throgg's army, unfortunately. Bold leadership and charge bonus. Alright, so we got a lot of free charge for Throggy out of that at 78 now. And that should come up. Actually, it shouldn't come up because we don't have another buff to charge. Okay. Oh, yes, we do. Devastating charge, plus 30. That'll be pretty nice if we have enough points to go into it, and I feel like we will. We are, however, going to save our points until rank 12 once again. Anyway, what I was saying was the Trollkin for one of the Marauders. I'm not going to put that name into one of these guys' because we're going to be rid of all of these. It'll go into one of Wulfric's army, a champion unit or something like that. Something that's not as likely to die, and something that we're going to keep around. I really wish I could just straight up rename all the Marauders to Marauder Trollkin or something like that, because I really like that name suggestion. Too bad. Now, we're going to have to land Throgg in Kurun, because we need cash. We need a lot of cash. At 39, let's see what we can do in terms of rating here. It is 0%. Ooh, 1,200 per turn. Very nice. Wait, this says 1,200, but that's 2k. I guess that's from this. I guess it's from the Demolished Farms thing. That's pretty damn nice. And that's actually, this is in Kurun. As I recall, Langui actually makes more cash, 1404. Yeah, so if we move down to Langui, which should be right here, we should be able to make even more cash. That's lovely. That'll help fix up our money situation, especially as we need to build a bunch of these defensive buildings. And you know what? Ports as well. Oh, speaking of names, I've been calling Throgg's brother Frog this entire time. I'm just going to make it official. There we go. He loves his little bro, and it's only fair that they are essentially named the same thing. I mean, yeah, don't expect trolls to be super creative with names, especially... now that I'm just trying to think about it. Throgg is clever, but what would Throgg's parents have been? How do trolls come into being in the Warhammer universe? I believe they're supposed to be creatures of chaos, but I'm gonna look into this. I don't think they just congeal in a puddle somewhere, and they're not like they're not spores like the greenskins. Well, that's a lesson for another day. Anyway, that's a name there. I know there were a few more suggested names for a few more bile trolls. There will be more bile trolls in this army. We're going to get some more as soon as we get to an outpost that allows us to build them. And I believe you are going to be called Frosty the Dragon, or just Frosty for short. Now, as some of you know, with regards to my own Let's Plays, I generally like to only name units that have basically earned their keep, done something heroic, as it were. So these two definitely deserve their names. We'll wait for the others, and I'll keep adding the name suggestions in there. Anyway, I believe that's the end of this turn. There are some settlement upgrades available, Horde upgrade available for Wulfric. More settlements, upgrades. You know what? Let's see what we can build. We have a limited amount of money, but we are gaining money. This is going to be the ideal time. Okay, yeah, we definitely need to upgrade the Tower of Crack here. And I guess we gotta get marble in here. I really wish that the marble would provide a little bit more garrison, but it's okay. Let's see. What else can we get money out of? Obviously, this is Norsca. We shouldn't rely on our own buildings to make money. We should rely on raiding and stuff. But something is better than nothing, obviously. Okay, so that's pretty good. Our public order is actually on the rise everywhere now, so we don't really care about detaxing everything, and our growth is okay. I mean, 50 more growth everywhere would be swell, but obviously, with our money situation as it is, we're gonna have to keep it as it is. So, let's end the turn. Let's see if Kurun reacts to this in any way. Oh, Eltharion. Oh, I know what you're gonna do. You're gonna declare war. And he's right here, too. Okay, well, these guys are both gonna sail towards us, aren't they? Well, it looks like we have more High Elf fighting in our future. I guess what we'll do is we'll raid here until these guys start sailing out, then we'll march Stance Throgg out and go back to the Isle of Wights and defend it against the High Elves. We really need to send him over here, but I guess we have to stay around until we can build a new army there, just to defend. Alrighty, war declared, Ivres, that's fine. I really hope these guys aren't sailing towards our other territories. Let's move Throgg down here, try to get to Longhi. And wait, raiding doesn't replenish us at all? Do we have a raiding camp stance? Yes, we do. Okay, so we're going to move down here and go into raiding camp stance next turn, I think. Plus, the raiding camp gives us more defensive abilities, so might as well. Wait, public order +2 for all provinces when you raid? Huh, and the same thing is true of... Oh, that's interesting. So does that stack? If we have a bunch of lords raiding at the same time? Characters 4, yes it does. So both Wulfric and Throgg are raiding. Oh, that's really interesting. I like that effect. Okay. And that makes a lot of sense if since Norskans are raiders. The population would be happier if everybody's raiding. Let's see, now Winter Pyre. I guess we're going to build another loot pile here, at least temporarily, while we need the growth. Let's see if we need to upgrade anything else. Oh, Fortress of the Damned. You know what, we got to get that bloody bulwark in here. And we have a little bit more cash remaining. I would like to get Wulfric his Marauder Regiment of Renown, but I guess we're going to have to wait on that. Tower of Crack. If we upgrade the Plunder Hall here, get a little bit better garrison, might be able to hold against a single army, and that's a big might. This is still way too weak. We'll be a little bit better with this, because we'll get a Feral Mammoth that Norse controls out of it. Oh, we already have the trolls in here. Well, we'll get a Feral Mammoth out of it. I really would like a hero to defend. But we're not going to get one, are we? That's a shame. That is a shame. I guess we could if we were to replace this Plunder Hall, but we need the money more than anything right now. And I don't think there's anything else that will give us as much money. We probably need growth here. Alternatively, we could probably save the money. I know that... is it better? Let's see, what's the upgrade? 100 gold versus 75 gold. Yeah, 1,000 gold for an extra 25 per turn. Really not that much. What I'm thinking right now is Pack Ice Bay needs an upgrade to level 3 so we can get the guard tower in there. And so does the Bay of Blades. Neither of them have guard towers, so if these guys attack, and they will attack, it's just a matter of time, these things will just get destroyed. And that's a lot more money we'll lose. Yeah, okay, I think we'll have to save the cash a little bit just to upgrade those two. Alright, unassigned skill points, we can't make use of those yet because Throgg is still level 10, and let's end the turn. Will the High Elf start sailing up here? Oh, what do we have here? What the hell is this? This is some kind of small army belonging to the High Elves, or Dark Elves rather, and they're attacking us despite the fact that the balance of power says this. It seems highly suspect. I think the balance of power went wonky here. We're in raiding stance, so we're winded in battle, so that's a lot of... that is a lot of detriment to the stats here, especially as it's SFO. And now winded applies to... Vigor applies to all stats. But hey, we're going to fight it. Obviously, this has to be a cinematic battle because this feels like it could be a lot more difficult than the game is letting on. So I guess I'm going to have to make a cut here. I really should try to stick to one cinematic battle per episode just because it necessitates a lot of this extra cuts and then editing, stitching things together and all that stuff. But hey, if we have to, we have to, of course. So here comes the cut. Alright, there we go, and let's hope that this particular cinematic battle is not going to be nearly as easy as the first one. Let's do it. Alright, here we go, the first major-ish battle for Wulfric. Now, this is probably going to be fairly tough, despite the fact that what the auto-resolve says. I feel like the auto-resolve is lying, because we checked the stats, or rather I checked the stats of the enemy units, and they are quite a bit better than our units. On top of that, since we are starting tired all across the board, or winded all across the board... Wait, why are some are winded and some are tired? What the hell? Winded, tired. Tired, tired, winded. What? Maybe that has to do with some units having some sort of vigor buff? Either way, so let's take a look at the setup here. So obviously, since the enemy is the ones attacking us, we have the advantage of being able to set up. We do have this rock here, which is an impassable terrain piece, so we do set up our shielded marauders here to block this side, and then a unit of marauder spearmen here with the marauder hunters in the middle as usual. We also have two sets of marauder berserkers hiding in this woodland area in the west, and then these two units of berserkers hiding in the woodland area to the east. Hopefully, we can get a nice flanking maneuver out of those. Now we are moving up Wulfric and our chariot. There's going to be some running around the enemy army with what we have here, but the reason for this is that we do have Seafang and we have to get it off cooldown. So a nice enemy line here, and we get it across two units, which is pretty damn good. It actually clips another unit, getting it to half HP, obliterating a single Dark Shard unit for good, and then almost destroying another Bleak Sword unit. That was a lovely Seafang. So very, very reliant on that, even though we don't have a caster. Now, it seems that Wulfric got charged in reprisal for that by a Master, who actually has very nice stats, as well as a golden shield, so our range damage is not going to be too crazy with regards to dealing him damage to him, but nonetheless, going to try that. Lots of these javelins coming out. It seems like some of them are going to miss and hit Wulfric, but Wulfric is also being hit by an upgraded Spirit Leech, so he's lost Vigor, taking more to... Oh, wow. Oh, okay, that's a lot of extra javelins going into Wulfric there. Sorry, buddy. On top of the Spirit Leech and the Lord attacking he got to half HP, or a little over half HP, very, very quickly, so that's obviously going to be a concern. On the bright side, the enemy army is moving forward with regards to its Dread Spears, so this does allow our Marauder Ice Wolf chariots free reign. They can go for these Dark Shards, and even if they can't do a crazy amount of damage, it can certainly annoy them to the point that they can't really do much. And oh, look at them chucking axes at these guys. They don't seem to be powerful enough to actually damage them. Look, they've taken like no damage. At least the forward unit has. This one has damage, but that was from Wulfric's Seafang ability. And here comes the charge. That's what I wanted to see. And yeah, they sort of stop. I should have charged through, but I mostly just selected the chariots and told them to go here. An immediate Soul Blight coming up from the enemy caster, and that's probably decent. I'd much rather them waste all their magic using Soul Blight on the chariots than popping another couple Spirit Leeches on Wulfric, because that would be really bad. Now, speaking of Wulfric, he's a little bit pissed about this, about how much damage he's taken. He's going after the Master once again, who is sort of stuck by these Marauder Spearmen, and we're going to get this other unit of Marauder Spearmen in to do the same thing, to try to pincer this guy and prevent him from running away or damaging our range units. Wulfric, of course, going to chase him down, and there we go. It's going to surround him with Marauders, and now he's losing leadership. And there we go. Regardless of the fact that we weren't able to kill him, his leadership is gone. As long as he's running away, we can try to do some damage to him with the Marauder Hunters. We can also send in those Marauder Spearmen to continue chasing him, as well as Wulfric. So there we are. This little damaged unit of Marauders, very, very useful in this position, as they are holding off 3 units, 2 units of or 2 units of Bleak Swords and a single unit of Dread Spears, preventing them from once again going after our Marauder Hunters with javelins. Very, very useful. Now over here we have another unit of Dread Spears who we are going to try to surround with these 2 units of shielded Marauders. Of course, the Marauders don't do a crazy amount of damage, and this one appears to be Spirit Leeched on top of it. 75 direct damage, to 1 entity per second though. So how does that work on multiple unit entities? It just kills one and then moves on to the other, and then kills one and then moves on to the other, on and on and on? I think that's how Spirit Leech would work on these guys. But probably not so good against the multiple entity units. Now, we have charged our chariots through. They've taken a little bit of damage primarily from the ranged fire, and I believe, I don't think they've got a Spirit Leech, but they certainly got that debuff on them, which is hurting their leadership as well as any damage they can deal anyway, as well as their defense. So, gotta move them away, hoping to try to draw some of the enemy units away as well. Now, finally, the Berserkers have come out of the woods and are going to start trying to chase down the enemy range units from both sides, just to prevent them from doing anything, really. The enemy master is still being caught here by our spears, still can't get out, but fortunately our Marauder Hunters with javelins have found their own range and are now able to pelt these Bleak Swords in the back and do a fairly respectable amount of damage, even if the rest of our line holders are not doing so much right now. Of course, it's going to be very important to use Wulfric and to use our chariots, as well as possibly our Berserkers, to chase down as many units as possible and prevent them from coming back. Another Sea Fang coming in right here and annihilating these 3 units. Very, very helpful. Well, actually annihilating 2 units, because this one went over here. Almost clipped by that Sea Fang. I saw the portal disappear right here, right before these guys got there. If I had put this a little bit forward, it might have been able to hit all 3 units once again. These guys, of course, getting a fairly decent charge into the Berserkers and doing a fair bit amount of damage. They dropped to almost half HP, and they're losing models very, very quickly. Of course, they are surrounded here, but the enemy don't even have Murderous Prowess yet, so it's a little bit disappointing how quickly the Berserkers go down. You can see them drop and take a ton of damage. They're at 81. They've lost, what, 40 models in like 10 seconds or so? And this is to Dread Spears, who are not supposed to be particularly good at this sort of thing at all. You would think Berserkers should be the direct counter to something like Dread Spears. And, of course, these Marauders are also quite debuffed. Oh, well, Soul Blight on top of all these guys, and they are routing. Fortunately, at this part of the map, we are actually winning, especially with these Dread Spears having taken that Sea Fang and continuously taking damage from all those javelins into their backs. This is absolutely critical to winning this particular battle. And it is certainly fun to watch. And there goes the Murderous Prowess. Suddenly all their units are more effective. We do finally make way over here, and I believe their Sorceress actually dies while I was paying attention to the main battle. There wasn't really anything to see. She got surrounded by Marauder Berserkers and hacked to bits, basically. And unfortunately, though, one of the Berserker units routed and another unit rampaged, just trying to do that. Of course, they were taking damage, and the enemy had the Murderous Prowess at the end there, but that was a lot of sacrifice to just get rid of the enemy lord. However, I felt like it was an absolute necessity that their lord had died, since they kept getting those casts off, a fairly decent debuff in Soul Blight spam, as well as those Spirit Leeches, and we really needed to shock the army with regards to their leadership. Now it's Lord dead, fortunately. Even though these guys aren't ready to rout, they will be after another Sea Fang. That's the last Sea Fang we got, and it did do a bit of damage to our own Marauder Spears, but once again, our Javelins are cleaning house. And it looks like one of these units finally routed, but then so did our other Marauders being chased by those Dread Spears. We are going to keep throwing javelins to these guys, trying to rout them as well. They popped a Dark Conduit. That was an absolute waste. If they had popped that Dark Conduit on their Lord when she was surrounded by 2 full units of Marauder Berserkers, that might have won this battle for them. Damn. And now Wolfric's just going to chase around any unit that is running away just to try to prevent it from coming back, as I was talking about before. The chariots are doing the exact same thing, finally getting this Dark Shard unit to shatter. And then they're going to be moving back here. There is another Dread Spear unit, and it looks like finally everybody is routing. But quite a tough battle, actually. All of our melee units basically got wrecked. Even our Berserkers, they did not seem to rack up a good amount of kills, except... I think one unit got a decent amount of kills, but they all got quite wrecked as well, and even fighting relatively weak tier 1 units. Interesting. I might have to reconsider Wolfric's army. But on the bright side, we got so much use out of that one Sea Fang ability. It really shows you how much damage and how important it is to have a magic user. We really need to get that magic user back into Wolfric's army as soon as our money problems are fixed, just to add that extra firepower. And I do mean extra firepower literally, because it'll probably be going with the fire lure. Anyway. We're just about done here. Going to do a little bit of chasing, at least the one unit that we can catch with our chariots, who are our only fast unit. It seems that the Berserkers are actually too slow to catch an elf unit, because one of our Berserker units, I forgot to sort of mention, it sort of peeled away here and followed an enemy whatchamacallit, Dark Shard units somewhere over there for quite a while before coming back. So, yeah, can't really catch anything. But hey, close victory. At least we came out on top. Wow, a shockingly tough battle that. I mean, close victory is right. I felt like it could have gone either way for a second there. As soon as their lords were dead, or as soon as their lord and their hero were dead, they had a little bit of a tougher time. But you gotta admit, we were extremely reliant on Wolfric to get the kills, and not even Wolfric himself. He was surprisingly fragile. We were reliant on Sea Fang to get most kills. Can you give a ship the MVP? Because that's what I'm doing right now. I mean, who else did damage? I mean, Wolfric, 51k damage, but almost all of that through Sea Fang, and I feel like a lot of the other damage was dealt by the two range units, 15k and 11k, and of course 10k from the Marauder Ice Wolf chariots, and everybody else did very, very little. I was extremely disappointed in the Berserker units. One did 10k, which is pretty good, and 65 kills, and this one spent the entire time chasing around one of the range units. Apparently, Berserkers are actually fairly slow and can't catch a Dark Shard unit. Once again, a little bit disappointing. I'm just taking a look at these units, but yeah, that really could have gone either way. Let's see what we can do here. We can kill the captives, get a little bit of power, versus we can sacrifice the captives for a little bit of cash. I feel like if these guys are coming back next turn, we might, like, I'm not even sure we can go into another battle with them. Our Berserkers are, yeah, I'm so disappointed in the Berserkers. I think I'm going to switch them out, delete them, and maybe replace them with more range units. I feel like they should be stronger. I don't know what the deal was there, but the I checked the stats mid-battle, and the Bleak Swords and Dread Spears, I guess the Lord had their line, because they had stats that were like 1.5 times as much as the Berserkers and other Marauders, quite a bit more. And yes, these guys have a lot more unit models than the Elves do, which makes sense, Elves being a more elite unit, but one-on-one, there was no way the one could beat the other without the range firepower. Anyway, I guess, you know what, weapon strength isn't really all that much. Let's just get the cash. Might as well sacrifice them to the gods. See, we got a trait. Oh no, I got a rank, rather. Grimgor. Okay, well, Grimgor is having a good time somewhere. Marineburg. What the hell is Marineburg? Well, that's not suspicious at all. What the hell is that? Okay, well, they're clearly moving towards us. Move any character to Lyonesse. That's also not going to happen. We're kind of in a... worrisome position right now. Hey, we got a Mammoth Tamer for Wulfric. He's going to need that one as well as a Spell Shield for free. This is going to be a concern. Eltharion actually has 2 stacks here, and with the Marion... Wait, is Marienburg allied to Kurun? Yes, they are. They're defensive allies, which means they can help each other in fighting Throgg. Can't say I like that. Can't say I like that at all. But we really need the cash that he's generating right now. I think what we're going to do is we're going to move all the way to the sea, like right here. I should have set up a raiding camp. We can set up a raiding camp. Okay. Let's set that up. I feel like they might be in range. This army is in range. But they're not at war with us, but if they declare war... Well, Throgg might still be able to win against these 3 armies, and I do say might, but I'm not completely sure. I guess we'll have to find out if that happens. We're gonna spend one more turn here just to get the cash either way. We are obviously out of time in this particular episode, and oh, looky what we have here. Hellebron and another stack here. We're gonna need defensive structures here in the Fortress of the Damned and the Palace of Princes, possibly. It looks like, yeah, Hellebron's doing a real good job. She's destroyed 2 of the places, or 2 of the settlements belonging to the Deadwood Sentinels. And minus the fact that she appears to have lost the Black Pillar to a rebellion, she's also attacking us up here. And some of those troops regenerated, and... Yeah, so this is 48-41 with probably no stats in there, compared to the Berserkers at 32-35. Now, granted, this should be 42-35. Maybe that's why we had such a difficult time. Plus, I suppose we had the issue of not having our vigor up. But either way, we're going to move back to the Palace of Princes. Our army is way too damaged to be able to fight this. If they rebuild it, they rebuild it. We can definitely defend at the Palace of Ruin since we got a decent garrison here. Well, we don't have a decent garrison in the other 2 provinces, so once Shagrath and the Frozen City have fallen, the Fortress of the Damned is left to fend for itself. So we really need to... We might actually have to abandon the Palace of Ruin in the sense that we'll send Wulfric to defend the Fortress of the Damned instead. Yeah, it's going to be a tough fighting with Hellebron. And I guess she doesn't want to peace out. Yeah, she's going to hate us after all this raiding and attacking of her that we've been doing. Oh, well, that's going to be a situation we're going to have to deal with. Wulfric gained himself a level, which is lovely. He also got himself a... Well, we have a Sword of Battle. We'll take that. Leadership, Standard of Discipline. You know what? Wulfric was very close to routing there. I think he can have the... Standard of Discipline. Eye of the Gods will give him weapon strength and melee attack for Lord's Army when attacking. Probably the best option here. At least the best early option. War Mammoths aren't really helping. Yeah, none of this is going to help us right now. I mean, the Voice of the Dark Gods, the leadership war size, somewhat helpful. Definitely somewhat helpful, but the rest of us, not so much. Well, maybe Bringer of Ruin if we're raiding. But I don't think we want to be caught out like that again. Yeah, let's just go Eye of the Gods. And then... Oh! Maybe we can't abandon the Palace of Ruin because Hellebron can move up to the Frozen City and then up here. Yeah, that's going to be a problem. Huh. What's the best way to do this? We will probably need to resummon one of the sorcerers as well. We have one with knowledgeable here, and it's a Shaman Sorcerer of Death, which might be helpful. Although I feel like we need the AoE more, so that should probably be either fire. Has intelligent damage defense chance. When does the one that we summoned earlier come back? Vanguard of the Mist. He doesn't come back? Maybe he doesn't. I don't know. Yeah, this is the next episode, or the next couple of episodes are definitely going to be very, very tough in this region. I'm just trying to figure out what to do with it. You know what? I'm going to call this episode here because, once again, we're out of time. There's a lot of decisions to make with regards to the buildings, which I will obviously be making between the episodes. I think that once we stop raiding, we're also going to be in negative cash because... Yeah, see, just Throgg stops raiding and we're losing 673 per turn, which means we'll probably have to remove some stuff out of Wulfric's army. Yeah, some tough decisions to make. Stay tuned next time for a crazy time fighting with Harganeth. We may have to retreat. We may not. Stay tuned. We'll see next time. So with that said, yada yada yada. All glory to the algorithm, and thanks for watching.